Hi, my name is Gage Hurley. Today's day is October 25th, 2024. The time is 5:19 p.m. I'm here interviewing my grandfather, Larry Sincell, who has a pretty long history within Appalachia. That would be his whole life. Um, so I'm going to ask him some questions and see what his life was like growing up and into adulthood, doing things that are pretty Appalachian. So my first topic, I really want to know what growing up in Eastern Kentucky was like in the 50s and 60s when you were a kid, when you were a teenager. Um, During that time, doctors didn't really have good access to roads weren't really accessible around here, and it took a while for doctors to get here, and it took a while to get to hospitals. So my first question is, were you born at home or in a hospital?
At home.
At home. Uh, which do you think was more common when you were born?
Children being born at home.
Mm-hmm. And next question is, who are some of the people that you remember in the town of Phelps? Um, Perhaps some doctors or store owners.
George Griffey, he was a store owner. Frank Dodson, and George Griffey Jr. had a store in Phelps.
Okay. Another question I had, which I think is really interesting, what was listening to the radio or watching in TV like in Eastern Kentucky?
Well, I didn't listen to radio much, but we had TV, but about 3 channels was about all you could get, and a lot of times it didn't come in, and you had to run the line up to the top of the mountain. So watching TV wasn't too good neither.
All right. And would you consider your childhood challenging anyway here in Eastern Kentucky?
Yes.
Do you think it was harder, say, if you were living in a city? Do you think it would have been easier if you were living in a city?
No, I don't think so. We was taught to do with what we had to do with. Being raised up, I mostly enjoyed hunting and playing in the mountains, and we raised our own food, and I worked in the garden, and to get to school, I had to walk to school, which was approximately a mile, and we didn't miss much school back then. Even if it was snowing or anything, you still walked to school.
All right, that's very insightful to the mid 20th century Eastern Kentucky life. My next topic is, you served in the Vietnam War for, I believe it was over a year.
Yes.
And I have to wonder what being from Appalachia, what that was like going into the military. And first question is, how did others view your accent? Like, was it noticeable to people?
Well, not to me it wasn't, but I'd say other people did know I was different the way I talked, but most people I was around, they didn't say anything to me.
Okay. And currently we have this stereotype that people in Appalachia and sometimes Eastern Kentucky, that they're what they call dumb hillbillies. And it's a stereotype, of course, we don't like. But did you see that kind of thing at all?
Not unless later on in life, like when I went into the military and things like that. Being raised around here, I never had too much to do with people, that would have said something about us, because everybody talked the same. But when I went in the military, then they could tell I was different. But in the military, they liked people from like Eastern Kentucky, and the mountains, because they were more experienced in living in the jungle than the people from a city would be.
Yeah. Okay. And how important do you think it is to have an Appalachian accent?
Well, I'm satisfied with it.
Do you think it really gives us our culture, sets us apart?
I do.
Enough. Okay. And my third topic is, So you were a coal miner for multiple decades, and I just want to know what some of your experiences were. First question in that is, what type of coal mines did you work in?
I worked in underground coal mines,
Mm-hmm.
and we. I started out as a general laborer, and then after I worked as a general laborer for 9 months, then I got drafted into the military. So after 2 years, when I got out of the military, I went straight back to the mines, because I enjoyed working in the coal mines.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a generational thing. My dad was a coal miner. My grandfather was a coal miner, and it's just what you done in this area. But I enjoyed it, and I had some friends that lost their lives in the coal mines. I had a cousin and a nephew, and that was hurtful. But I was able to go through 33 years underground and never have an accident.
That's great. Um, you think your experiences could have been easier or tougher if you were in a different type of coal mine, or were you pretty well satisfied with where you were?
I liked working underground. I worked as an electrician for about 30 years, and I worked a little bit at a preparation plant. But the jobs I had, I was satisfied with it. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you obtain any health issues from working in the mine? Black lung's very prevalent, so I was curious if you.
Well,
gained
I
anything.
know I've got black lung. I haven't won my case, but different doctors have told me that I had black lung, and I have breathing problems from working years in the coal mines.
Okay, and did a lot of your coworkers have a lot of health issues? Perhaps
Yeah,
different.
yeah. A lot of people would get hurt. They'd get disabled in the coal mines, and then they were fixed for the rest of their life as being injured.
Mm-hmm.
But the only problems I had from working in the coal mines was I have a lot of back trouble and knees, things like that. But I don't regret it.
Okay, and so you worked in the coal mines for multiple decades, and of course, right now we're well past a decline in the coal mines. We've been in it for quite a while. I was wondering, did you avoid kind of that death of the coal mines? Were you ever at risk of being laid off, or?
I was laid off once, but well, twice. But I was able to get back a job because I never was off no more than 2 months by being laid off. Where I was an electrician, and I went ahead and got my West Virginia electrician papers, and so I was able to keep a job.
That's good. Okay, and do you think an attempt should be made to revive the coal industry, or do you think it's just a lost cause?
No, I think it should be revived because since the coal mines have shut down and they've quit using coal, it's caused electric bills to go up, and a lot of people that relied on that that's all they could do. You know, I think they've had a lot of problems because of being able to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's about all it was around here.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing I'd want to talk about is kind of to finish up. Are you content with staying in Appalachia for
I
the
wouldn't
rest
want
of
to
your
live
life?
anywhere else.
Do you think the culture is just still too important to you, or?
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's a very insightful look into the life of an Appalachian, and especially an Eastern Kentuckian. Um, I just want to thank you for your time, and
Okay.
I'm just glad that my grandfather could do this. And thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.